good call for us, or has it not? If it's not, how come? Are the numbers skewed because of one play? And say, hey, maybe it's been a good call for us, but based off the numbers, it's not just because of this one play, right? So you do that during the season. You do it after the season. It helps you with personnel, maybe who's playing well, who's not, what's the best personnel we need to move to for the rest of the year. You do it on both sides of the ball. You look at explosive plays that we've given up. Why? What's the cause that we've given them up in, the personnel, who gave them up and why. You look at turnovers, for us, how are we creating turnovers, and you do it in all three phases, okay? You also have to go back and look at our personnel, okay? Where are people at right now? We have lots of guys that have not played a lot of ball for us yet. You might see them just a little bit in the first couple of games, but they're inching up there to getting ready to play and to contribute, which will give us more depth. It's interesting. We have last 2 days I'm meeting with every group of our players each day, something that we do a lot. And we have like 114 or 15 guys in our program, but 80 of them are freshmen and sophomores. So this is a wonderful week for these guys to continue to grow and develop and improve as a football player, to take that next step. So they can play, if they've been playing, maybe they can play a little better, or they can put themselves in position ready to contribute.
Jesse and Brian.
Jeremy, I had two questions. One with Dom Wood-Anderson. I know he was dealing with a foot deal. I didn't see him out there at practice yesterday. Was going on with him?
No, his foot's fine. We had a couple of guys. One of the big things here is academics, right? Everybody comes here. The number one thing is to get your degree. Okay, so our motto is it's school and football. So Dom's a guy that this is his last year. He wants to have an opportunity to graduate. So this is a good time to do that. Guys played really good football for us so far this year. So it's also a great opportunity to take Princeton Fant, Jackson Lowe, Sean Brown, Hunter Salmon, and get those guys a ton of work.
But Dom's status with the program is...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then my second question, if I can, do you believe you have the talent to be competitive in the SEC this year? And if so, what needs to happen to kind of translate some of that talent to where you're seeing it on the field a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean, it's not hard to figure out. In the 3 games that we've lost, y'all watch the games. We had an opportunity to win 2 of them. Okay, and the first game we had 5 turnovers, whether it was 3 turnovers like we had or 2 turnovers on downs on 4th and 1s, right? And only got 1, so we're -4 in a turnover margin there. It's hard to win that way. Probably left some plays out there on both sides of the ball. Our football team is 100 times better than it was this time last year, okay? And our guys are working hard. We're stronger. We're more physical. But when it comes to having success winning a football game, you can't turn the ball over, and you have to create turnovers. And that's something that has hampered us in our 3 losses. Our guys are working hard. We're getting better on the offensive front. Our tight ends are playing winning football. We've got to be able to get the balls to our skill players, okay? Be more consistent there. Defensively, it's unusual as you look at our defense, and through what we call explosive plays, or gains of 20 yards or more, 15 on runs, 20 yards on passes. Probably through 4 games, I think we've given up it's either 11 or 13, okay? For a team that's 1-3, that's not a whole lot, okay? So if you look at us, we've not given up as much of chunks as we've given up 7 to 14-yard plays, if that makes sense. So what does that mean? That means we need to be a little stronger when we tackle folks and knock folks back. Maybe our coverage is not hardly tight enough in some scenarios. We have created some negative plays. We've got to develop a little more pass rush when we rush with just 4 guys, so we don't put so much stress on the back end. So all these things that we're looking at to find a way to improve.
Jeremy, you said that the quarterback position is no different than every other position on the team. So have the reps changed at all, though, this week in terms of Jarrett, Brian, and JT? Is it kind of been status quo of what it was through the first month of the season?
No, I think we have to change the reps. Okay, we have to do that. And it's no secret. There's no secrets anymore. We've got to get better production out of that position, just like we do all of them. And so we got to give these guys an opportunity, and this is a good chance to do that this week.
And what has that looked like, I guess, then through the first 2 days thus far of the bye week?
Everybody gets the same amount of reps.
Brent and Austin.
Coach, when you talk about, the best player each week's going to play, that creates, obviously, sometimes change in your starting lineups. With young players, how hard is that to get them to understand that it's a week-to-week deal and it's not because you started last week, you're going to start this week, or because you played a lot last week, that's going to continue? Is that hard for a young football team to understand that approach?
Well, I'm sure it probably is, because probably most of them, because they were the better players on their team in high school, they probably played the same amount. It didn't matter how they practiced, out of most programs. That's why you see you don't see as many freshmen play at a high level. They're more of it's rare that you see it. You see a lot of them that kind of show up, but it's usually about this time of the year that there's more and more freshmen that kind of start showing up. It's on every team, right? It gives them, because what you see is, as a coach, lots of times is you see the potential in fall camp. Then school starts. It's kind of the grind, right? And they maybe disappear a little bit. And then that 5th, 6th, 7th week, they start showing back up. They kind of get their feet back under them, and here they go. So I think we've played 17 guys. We might play more than that, and we'll continue to push those guys out there.
Austin and Trey.
Coach, you talk about this week being big for all the younger kids on the team. How do you balance getting quality work in versus giving them a little time to rest and recuperate and get ready for this next stretch, and you guys being able to go out on the road and be visible out there recruiting?
Well, the rest part's not a problem. The thing that we have to look at is when you talk about depth at certain positions, we don't have the depth that we need at certain positions. So, you have to be careful there. But the rest part, these guys are fine, As far as recruiting, we do that every single day. We'll go out on the road on Friday and do that. So give them 2 days off on Friday and Saturday, and they'll be back in here on Sunday getting ready for Georgia.
Trey, and then last couple, Wes.
Coach, how do you think offensive line protection has been when you guys are trying to throw the ball down the field, trying to use your weapons like Jennings and Callaway and Palmer on the outside? How do you think the offensive line is protected so far, 4 games in, compared to the game plan that you guys are trying to put together?
I think our guys have really done a nice job. Could we improve? Sure we could. We need to be a little bit firmer inside. Probably need to be more consistent outside. But we've not had to, keep a bunch of guys in to chip and 7-man protection. We've done that some, but, our guys have worked hard and continued to improve there. And it to me, it shows up on Saturdays.
Last couple, Wes and Jimmy.
Jeremy, a couple things. One, with Theo Jackson, he's a guy who, I guess when you watch him on film, just doesn't look like the same guy that he looked like for parts of last year. And I'm wondering when you started seeing a change in him, being more disruptive and doing things on the back end, and also what you thought of Bryce Thompson's first game back?
Theo, he works hard every day. He's a smart guy. He knows what to do. So he puts himself in the right spots. He gives himself a chance to have success. He's a good communicator in the back end. He's tried to play with some toughness. I thought excuse me there, Zach. I thought he tackled well on Saturday in space. He missed one tackle down on the goal line, but made some plays on the ball in the back end. Bryce, he played better as the game went, which is expected, right? I mean, guys not been in a competitive game. So he got better as the game went.
Jimmy, last question.
Jeremy, you have a lot of players on your team that have been in the program for a number of years that have not had a lot of success. Do you think right now you have a team that simply does not play with much confidence?
Well, here's the thing. To me, when we lose a game, doesn't matter wherever I've ever coached, it hurts, okay? All right? Hadn't been used to losing very many of them, all right, but it hurts pretty bad, okay? I think sometimes you can get numb to losing, all right? If it happens over and over again, all right, maybe you get used to it. And that's something that there's lots of guys in our program that aren't used to losing, okay? And it hurts them, all right? But I'm not saying the guys in our program are that way, but I do think that can happen, So I can tell you this, all right? Our football team, I've said all along that I like this group of guys. All right? The guys work extremely hard, okay? There's lots of things. We need to coach them up better, okay? We need to play a little better. We need to be a little more opportunistic on both sides of the ball. We don't need to shoot ourselves in the foot. But our guys are working hard, and they'll continue to do that. I don't see any quit in this group. These guys, I think, are fighters, so we got to keep them healthy so they have a chance to fight. And that's one of the things this week we've tried to make sure in our improvement that we give them enough reps to improve, but at the same time don't go out there and lose 5 guys in one day where we don't have enough guys to play.
Thank you, Coach.